lose all sense of reality and enter another world. Remember, do not underestimate the power of PlayStation.
Colin,
Yes.
you've brought me a very special guest
I
today.
have.
Just to talk about our most anticipated PlayStation Vita game that comes out next week, Freedom Wars.
Yes.
We're very stoked about it.
I'm excited about it.
I'll be in Missouri with no consoles. It'll be my only respite for video games.
Your only lifeline to the outside world.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Ladies and gentlemen, joining us right now, Nick Accordino. Hey, Nick.
Beyond.
Beyond. Oh, look at you! You're a pro. You know what
that's
to do.
nice.
It's,
Very
we
nice.
get these characters in here. They don't know what they're doing. You're like, yeah, Troy Baker, you make me sick. Get out of here.
I've told you this before. I was listening to this back when Chris Roper was doing the Roper Report.
Wow, that's old. You're old.
Old.
That's
Oh,
OG.
jeez, man. You were in high school probably when that was happening.
Actually, I was working at a dead-end job in Cleveland, Ohio.
What was your dead-end job?
Writing about dirt and gravel.
That's
And-
not true.
Yeah, it's very true.
Was the Dirt and Gravel Insider? What was it?
It was the dirt and gravel construction aggregates, as they like to call it, industry report. Yes.
That's awesome.
Yes.
That must have been fun.
Listening to you guys and all sorts of people at One Up doing podcasts. and
Never heard of them.
Yeah, right. I mean, I heard they were something at some point. but,
Sure. Yeah. I'm
um,
sure somebody else bought them though
and
and
just
made them into something better.
Wanting all my life to be in the gaming industry, and a couple years later, here I am.
So how did you? You're a producer at PlayStation.
I'm a producer, yes.
So how did you go from gravel to being a
And
producer
dirt
at PlayStation?
and mud and all that. Well, it's kind of funny. Back a couple of my friends used to work at One Up in EGM offices back in the
Yeah.
day. And then
Did you know
when,
Dan Shu?
What?
Did you know Dan Shu?
I didn't know Dan Shu very well.
Okay. But you knew of him.
Know of him, yes. But
Adonis.
Nick Sutner and Shane Bettenhausen and some of those guys who I'm sure.
Now I
you're
see
familiar
how
with.
you got
now
your
there's
job
the
at
connection.
PlayStation. There you go, the mafia.
Anyway, my wife wanted to go to grad school, so I asked her to look on the West Coast. She
Uh-huh.
got in at UCLA, and I said, well, I'm going to try to network in, and I got in, luckily, with a little help from some friends, and here I am.
Nice.
Cool, man.
So for the kids at home, either watching or listening right now,
Yep.
what does a producer at PlayStation do? Like, what is your actual job? What's
It
your
depends on if you're first party or third party, or just kind of what you're involved with.
Uh-huh.
I'm part of ISD, which is the International Software Development Team.
It sounds really impressive.
It's fun. So my job is basically to take all the games we make overseas, so Europe and Japan, and get them out over here in SCEA. Make sure they're localized correctly, try to help coordinate all of the marketing and the PR, and basically be a member of that overseas studio for SCEA.
Gotcha.
So for Freedom Wars, I try to help out the team. That's a collaboration with a bunch of guys over there. For NAC, I was helping out the NAC team get everything ready for launch over here, since NAC launched before everything, or before it did in Japan at least.
Right.
And yeah, so that's my job. I'm constantly doing lots of things at once, and making sure the team is happy. So
Okay.
Now here's the you speak Japanese,
I
right?
do.
Now here's the common theme that I didn't realize until, because the first game I worked with Nick on was Knack on PS4, and that's when we met. We started working together, and then his next game was Freedom Wars, and I made the connection at E3 when we played it for the first time, when he started just randomly speaking Japanese to the guys, I guess, from Studio Japan.
That's when
or-
you're like, you might know Japanese.
I was like, oh well, that's why they have you on the Studio Japan games,
Yeah.
and I
That's how
had
you
no
networked
idea that you spoke Japanese. You lived there for a while, right?
yeah, I studied over there my junior year in college, and then I've just been speaking it ever since.
Is that how you got the gravel job too?
Well, actually, it's kind of sad, because my resume said international studies. That was my major in school, and so they were like, "Oh, we have international reports that we do, so you can have the international report on dirt and gravel and rocks and all that kind of crap." So, yeah, great job industry.
And you
out
said
in there,
konnichiwa.
Yeah, yeah.
And they
they're
all,
like, "Oh,
they
sir."
all looked puzzled at you for a second, and they're like,
And they're
I
like,
guess,
oh, you speak Japanese.
Sumimasen. Colin.
Yes.
Start talking about Freedom Wars.
Freedom Wars. All right, so first of all, we're very excited about this game. Our
Very
audience
excited.
is very excited about this game too. We're getting a lot of tweets about it, a lot of messages, a lot of emails. So for the people that don't understand Freedom Wars out there, maybe they don't own a Vita or they're not intimately engaged in that Vita ecosystem. Can you explain kind of on a high end what Freedom Wars is all about?
Sure. So you can think of Freedom Wars as like a pretty awesome third-person hunting type game. So if you're familiar with games like Monster Hunter or Tokiden or God Eater or any of those type of games that involve 4 people taking on huge enemies, online, offline, and kind of exploring a pretty cool dystopian world, that's what Freedom Wars is. So differences is that unlike other games where you're just hunting with blades and big swords and hammers, we have all sorts of guns and bazookas and all sorts of cool things.
And the Thorn.
And the Thorn, which lets you fly around the environments and hack off enemies.
I mean, I sell it this way. I go, all right, if I'm talking to a comic book fan, especially, it's easy. I'm like, it's the Suicide Squad story, right? You all have this amount of time on your head, and you're all trying to go out on these suicide missions, so you get your sentence down, so you get to be a free person.
Sure. You
got the Thorn like Spider-Man, so you attack with and do a billion things, but you get to shoot around the environment with it, and then you can combine Monster Hunter with that.
Yeah.
And it's set in like, again, this goes back. Colin knows me well. He knows me so well, and he knows that like
my Brillo head.
That's what I do. It's rough today. I like it. I've touched.
You will let me shave it.
It's the third time. I don't need to shave it. Nick, do you like it when he shaves his head?
I haven't been around long enough to really make a comment on that.
The answer is no, you don't. So just stick with me for it. No, my problem always with I used to review Monster Hunter and do different things with it for IGN, and I enjoyed it fine, but it was one of those. It's very much in that fantasy element that I have a hard time getting into. When we're talking about present to far-flung future fantasy, like robots and monsters and aliens coming out, that I can get behind easier than it's like I'm fighting a dragon and I'm cooking on a wood fire spit. And I'm like, nah, I don't like this at all.
You making fun of dragons, Cron?
So tasty.
Yeah, a little bit of slimes happening there too.
You make fun of the Vanillaware game. That's a bold move. So I guess you've already kind of named some of the things that set Freedom Wars apart from some of these Monster Hunter games. Would you say that the verticality that you mentioned with the Thorn is kind of one of those major things about being able to kind of explore both axes of the environment as opposed to just running around?
Absolutely. Like that Thorn's a big game changer, I think. Not only does it let you, jump around the environments, latch onto enemies, pull yourself up to them and start hacking away at them, but it lets you move around the environment more quickly. You can use it to just skip along the ground more quickly if you want to. You can use it to pick up items. You can use it to resurrect your friends. You can use it to do all sorts of stuff. So if you like those grappling hook mechanics, if you like having a lot more freedom and going, kind of, I say, Attack on Titan style on some of these bigger bosses, like that's what it's all about. So definitely, when you see us advertise the game and showing trailers, you see us using that Thorn all the time for all sorts of stuff. So yeah, huge difference maker, I think.
We're told we might get to play it today.
Maybe
we might finally be able to play.
Have you been a good boy?
I don't. You tell me, because I started off really nice with both of you, and I'm looking at the PR guy off camera when I was like, "Hey guys, what's happening?" And then it started to get the mean, threatening tweets, and that's when it got darker. My question is, when we started in the beginning, how badly are we gonna get our teeth kicked in? Is there a huge learning curve? Is it gonna be really punishing?
No, not at all. I'd say if anything, the end of the game gets a little bit tougher. But by that point, you should completely understand how everything works. Sure. A lot of mechanics involved, but no, it's gonna be pretty nice to you when you start off the game. And, you'll go through a few missions. There's a couple training missions you'll go through, and then it'll all open up, and you'll get access to everything. I wouldn't be worried about doing anything. If you're worried about playing the game by yourself, offline without people, not a problem.
Yeah, I mean that's how I'm gonna play the game.
Yeah, we live in the same house. Let's just play while we watch football and hang out.
Yeah, we'll see.
Yeah, not a problem. There's a few missions you'll have to do by yourself, but by and large, most of them involve you with a team of 3 other people. And I should mention that every player has an accessory, which is kind of like an AI companion. So you're constantly taking teams of 8 characters into battle with you. So you always have a team at your side.
Even if you're playing solo.
Even if you're playing solo, yeah.
Does it get different if Colin and I do team up? Do the enemies get tougher or something along those lines? Or
no. When you go online, the difficulty that you'll face online is the same as offline, pretty much. And if there's only 2 of you, it'll actually populate the rest of your party with AI teammates. So you're still all suited up and ready to go, I think.
Okay. Cool. So this sounds like it's going to join the family of like Soul Sacrifice and Tukadin and all these other games that allow you to play online or off and doesn't really punish you to play offline, because I didn't feel punished at all when I played like Soul Sacrifice offline. So that's pretty exciting. Now I'm most curious about now that we are almost about to play the game. We played it pretty extensively when you were here last month.
Sure.
I got my teeth kicked in, hence the questions.
Yeah, well, it was
you dropped us into a way far-flung enemy, giant monsters popping up.
I believed in you.
Well, that was your mistake.
Yeah, don't believe in Greg. I'm most curious about the collaboration, which I think is probably more poignant and understood by the Japanese gamer in terms of Japan Studio with Shift and Dimps making this game together. Can you explain how those 3 teams kind of collaborated on this, and maybe what those other 2 teams are known for?
Sure. Well, I've said this before some other places, but our producer for the game has produced stuff like Patapon. So if we have Patapon fans in the house, you'll see
you have one.
Some sensibility there. The director of the game is from Dimps, and he actually directed Street Fighter 4. So they've been behind.
I'm not giving you no cheers for that. You looked at me like I was going to help you on that one.
I'm a huge Street Fighter fan, so
I hear it's all
so some really cool, that team has worked on a ton of different portable titles, everything from like Sonic Advance, like like all the way forward to, you know, you can see their list online. I don't have to explain it to you.
Yeah.
But then Shift is responsible for the design of the game. So they make, most popularly, I think, the God Eater series, which I know we got on PSP over here. I don't think we got the most recent one. But so that's where maybe a lot of the aesthetics kind of share some similarities. You might notice some characters look, you know, a little bit similar to some of the God Eater guys, but that's where the whole like 4-player team aspect I think comes in. And then Dimps did most of the actual like coding and putting the game together, and then Japan Studio was in charge of producing the entire thing and making sure it all came together with what fans wanted, and you know, under the ideas that that they had planned out for it. So.
Nice.
Cool. And you know, how was the game received in Japan? I know that it sold very well there and did pretty well critically. I mean, does the game have a big fan base over there? And are they anticipating a sort of continuation of Freedom Wars over there, not like they got with Soul Sacrifice or they got with Tukaiden?
Yeah, I mean, I know nothing about any kind of continuation. I really wish I did. It came out in June this year in Japan and had a really, really great opening. I think they've sold over 350,000 copies, I think, by this point, which is pretty huge.
Yeah, oh yeah.
You know, you sell over 100,000 copies in Japan, I think, and you're successful. But yeah, it's done tremendously well. There were a few concerns about some of the difficulty later in the game, but that's been patched in. You know, when American gamers and when people over here will play it, they'll have the entire patched, you know, rebalanced game from the beginning. So, and then Japan also launched without any online actually in their game, which over there might work. You know, they have a much different environment where they can play locally, I think, a lot more easily, a lot more crowded cities, I guess, and you know,
the train,
you know, coffee shops, what have you. But over here, online's really important, so we wanted to make sure we had that day one, so we do. I think a lot of those like concerns have been, you know, put at ease. So. No, but it's done really well. They have a lot of really cool like merchandise and products over there that I'm kind of jealous of.
They always do.
I'm hoping to bring some of that over here too. But
like Percy Propa and all.
Like Percy Propa. I've seen a plushie. I've seen Freedom Wars like coffee tumblers. I've seen T-shirts and all sorts of cool stuff.
Cool.
So, yeah. It's done really well, and hopefully it's the beginning of, you know, something really big. So I'm hoping.
Yeah, we're excited for it.
Cool, man. Tell me a little bit about this Percy character. He's very cute.
Yes.
Kind of reminds me a little bit of Monokuma from Danganronpa.
God.
Yeah.
It's like Podcast Beyond 7 in a row of mentioning this Danganronpa bear.
That's like one of my obsessions.
Oh, man. Danganronpa is fantastic if you haven't played it.
Yeah, it's awesome.
I've tried. I keep falling asleep.
Oh, hey.
But I play it on a plane. That's the problem.
Does Street Fighter put you to sleep too?
Well, yeah, that puts me to tears. I'm like, I don't understand what's happening. Well,
so tell me a little bit about this character, this cute character, that how he kind of fits in, because he's kind of he definitely is contrasts with the entire look of the game.
Right. So, you know, the thing about Freedom Wars is that you're constantly being watched. It's a dystopian society, kind of like Big Brother 1984. Someone's always watching you, right?
Sure.
So he's the messenger from the Panopticon, which is your city-state that you live in. And every time you get a mission or you're actually leveling up your social standing, so the game structure is that you'll be moving up through the Panopticon and actually getting different jail cells as you go through.
Hot.
You are a sinner. You are a prisoner. He's the one that's going to be telling you if you graduated up until the next social ranking. We call them codes. So you'll be going from code 1 all the way up to code 7, code 8. And he'll be the one delivering all these messages to you, telling you what you've done wrong, and just kind of playing with you here and there. And he'll be chiming in to tell you funny messages here and there too. So he's supposed to be the one cheering you on, being your little cheerleader. But you know, obviously he's
evil.
He's just there to put you at a false sense of ease and security. So.
Well,
yeah.
And what was the nature of, one of the things I was impressed on when we played it last month, you brought, we had 4 copies of the game.
Yep.
We played, an extended online match or 2. And I noticed when exploring the menus, and people can see it on the video preview that we did on IGN. You can look it up. The level, what seemed to me to be a high level of localization in terms of the way the game expresses itself, in terms of just text in terms of it seems like it's really on point and very dystopian and very very aware of itself and it's not a shoddy localization. It doesn't seem like it seems like there was a lot of attention paid to that. Can you tell me a little bit about that process? I know that for instance it has Japanese voices still, but in terms of the localization process, how you guys kind of captured the essence of the game in that way?
Yeah, I mean, it's really a credit to our localization studio that is in actually the UK. So actually, they partner with different like companies, but the job they did on this was really hard because there's a ton of different terms that are in the game, and I can sit here and try to remember everything.
Sure.
But I'd have a hard time too because it's a very specific name for every level of organization within the Panopticon, for every different aspect of every little part of the game, right? So there's a ton of jargon. There's a lot of stuff that you'll forget. Like actually, they start saying PT instead of Panopticon to like shorten it because it's such a mouthful.
It's
right?
too much.
But no, they really did capture the essence, I think, of what it's like to be a prisoner in a society where you don't know what's going on and that you're given a million years sentence of penal servitude from birth, right? So every time I'm asked to localize something or to just look over something, I have to constantly consult like a dictionary of terms and see exactly what we translated everything to, because it's very specific and it's very on point. So if players out there get lost in a little bit of the jargon and the terms, there's a huge glossary inside the game where they can look everything up, and there's lots of different tutorial messages and stuff like that. But really, we went back and forth a lot, like talking about what's appropriate, what's not. In Japanese, the term for for the greater good, which is what Percy Propa likes to say a lot, is retsukoken, which means let's contribute. Which just sounds a little awkward when you just put it out there like that. So, we went back and forth a little bit. We said, for the greater good sounds a little, a little bit more at home. So that's what we went with, right? But, we had lots of little instances like that where we were talking about things and just trying to figure out what was appropriate. But for the most part, I just really agreed with what they selected. So I tried not to get in their way too much.
Can I customize the look of my character?
Absolutely.
Oh, yes.
You can customize so much in this game.
Yeah.
I can't wait to see what your nickname is because you'll get a nickname depending on how you play the game.
Oh, okay. I don't get to choose my nickname. They just give it to me.
It will be given to you depending on how you do and what your standing is. So.
I'm very excited. Do I get it at the end of the game or is this like
No. When you press start, you'll actually see it in the bottom right-hand corner of the screen. So I'm very excited.
I cannot wait for this fucking game.
It's great.
That's why I had the time code going.
Oh, okay.
I knew I was going to curse at some point.
Yeah, it sounds. I mean, and if I remember correctly, you can customize your character at any time, right? Like, so you're not locked into, which is unusual. That's pretty cool.
Yeah, I like that.
Actually, the only thing you're kind of locked into, I should say, is the home panopticon that you pick. At the beginning of the game, you'll have a list of 50 cities that you'll get to choose from. And that's the city that you'll be contributing to, online and offline. So let's say I pick Los Angeles because that's where I live now. So in the offline game, it's going to say you live in the Los Angeles Panopticon no matter what I'm doing. And if you want to change that, that's actually a per charge thing. So you will have to buy an entitlement from the PlayStation Store to change that. Everything else, what gender your character is, their name, how they look, what your accessory looks like, what your clothes look like, what color they are, all that stuff, you can change whenever you want. So, and
let's talk a little bit about the accessory. The accessory, and this is what I'm talking about with the terminology, because I love the terminology in this game. The accessory is basically your minder, right? Like the person that's like accompanying you at all times,
right?
Your assistant, your lovely assistant / parole officer. That's your accessory. So they're there to keep an eye on you and bust you. And I think the game has a pretty wicked sense of humor too. So, they'll say, would you like to lie down? And you're gonna say, yeah, sure, I'll lie down for 5 minutes. Like, bam, 5 years. You're not allowed to lie down. You don't have the right to lie down yet. So
that's awesome.
So it kind of works like that. So they're keeping an eye on you, and there's parts of the story that will involve you kind of tricking your accessory into doing things that they're not aware of. But it's an AI, so you can decide what you want to do at that point.
Yeah.
And so you were talking also about buying rights, which are called entitlements, right, in the game. And this is this is what's so cool, and I think sets this game apart, from the periphery anyway, from Soul Sacrifice and some of these other games, which I think Soul Sacrifice was fun, but actually really shallow. This game is the antithesis, it seems like, of shallow. Like, there's a lot of things to manage, and one of the things is buying your rights that you have to literally... not only are you trying to whittle down your prison sentence, but you also have to buy rights to leave your jail cell, right to to run in battle, the rights to like do all sorts of like everything.
Little thing, yeah.
And so explain the system a little bit to the listeners.
So when you complete a mission, whenever you're in a mission, depending on how well you do the mission, you'll get a ranking, and then you will get years off of your sentence. Again, you start with 1,000,000 years, as well as I believe we call it GPP, which is the currency in the game.
Sure.
And you'll use those points to buy entitlements, right? And entitlements can be everything from the right to lay down and sleep to the right to get a certain distance away from your accessory, to upgrading your equipment, to upgrading the equipment for your teammates, right? So you have to constantly be balancing those points. Those points are very, very important. And of course, you can always replay missions to get more, but everything in the game that you need to succeed is going to be unlocked via those points, those entitlements. So the entitlement to wear a certain costume, you'll have to unlock. You'll have to buy. The entitlement to what was a good one I saw recently? I think it was to just use to collect better loot was an entitlement you had to unlock. So you're going to constantly want to be looking at what's available to you, and of course you'll get more things available to you the farther you get in the game, and just unlock everything as much as you can. Prioritize what's important to you and go for it. So.
And sounds awesome.
Yeah, that does. And so this is what I love about it, because it just gets deeper and deeper. So you're unlocking. You're whittling down your time by doing missions for the state that save people like from these huge monsters. And then you have to buy entitlements. But then there's also this deep upgrading system with all of your equipment. So and that you can use the people you save to help you build your equipment.
Yeah, that's right. So at a certain point in the game, you'll actually get the ability to make weapons as well as upgrade all of those weapons or add abilities to those weapons like elements, etc. So when you do that, those weapons, those upgrades actually take real-world time. So it might take 5 minutes. It might take 40 minutes, depending on what you want to make. But the people you actually save from the abductors, the giant enemies in our games are called abductors, right? You're saving people from them. And when you save those people and successfully extract them during the mission, they actually become kind of like items you can use to make that process go more quickly, right? So something that could take you 40 minutes, if you have like a weapon, let's say you have a weapons engineer, it could take you 20 minutes. Might shave the time in half. You can put your Vita in sleep mode and let it just whittle down the time while you're not playing it. But yeah, it's everything that you do in the game. Nothing is really a wasted effort. You're going to get something every time you try, and you can always use that to help you succeed. So like we said, you're earning points, you're earning years off your time, you're earning items in battle. Stuff you don't use, you can turn in to get more points. You can recycle everything you don't use, and you can take those weapons you don't like and turn them into elements you can use on weapons you do like, right? So really, it's all about how you want to play and how you want to customize things. So
here's my question. Stick with me.
Yep.
I'm seeing things in the sky here that I'm trying to piece together.
Yep.
Are there microtransactions in this game?
There are. No, actually, the only one I would kind of call that is maybe that change your home panopticon.
That's
right?
You put that out there and said you pay off the PSN, and then you started talking about like sleep mode, cut your time down, and then that you could go out. And I know that it's not. Don't get me wrong. I'm not saying. I know you weren't saying that was a microtransaction, but I didn't know if there's a way to speed it up or stuff like that.
No. Really, the only reason that is a for-pay service is because that has to do with the online ranking system.
Sure.
And there are certain trophies attached to how you're doing, and the matches you complete online and stuff like that. And
well, tell me more about that. Hold on. Now you're making me worry.
Yeah.
What?
Oh no, yeah. You'll be fine, but you have to complete a few matches and do a few.
Oh, that's fine, but I don't have to if I pick a weird city, it's not like 400 matches need. All right, great.
No. But the online aspect and this whole panopticon versus panopticon war, because basically it's a post-apocalyptic, society, right? So these panopticons are at war with each other. We're kind of emulating that on the online side.
Cool.
So the panopticon you belong to is constantly going to be shown to you. You're going to see where it ranks on this league of panopticons, and we don't want people switching, willy-nilly. So
it kind of sounds like Dead Nation in a way, not with just country by country where it shows you the zombies that you killed and all this sort of stuff. Seems like a little like it's not super essential. It's just kind of another layer.
It is. It's kind of cool though, because you can attack other panopticons and bring down their ranking, or you can team up with people and try to lift yours up as well.
That's my question, Colin. What panopticon are you going to assign yourself to?
New York.
You are going to do New York. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
That I can confirm that is a panopticon that you can choose.
I'm sure. 50 cities. I hope you have New York.
50 global cities.
So
a little bit tougher there.
Okay.
So you can do Oslo probably. if you wanted to. Or
I'm probably gonna do Chicago.
Chicago. Okay.
I feel like San Francisco's gonna do well though.
Yeah, probably.
A lot of video game players around here.
Absolutely.
Maybe you want to be attached to them.
You
I
see 'em
doubt
on Nier
Columbia,
every once
Missouri
in a
is
while.
going to do that well. So
No,
I'm not going to
I'm
look for
Columbia's even
Columbia,
on it.
Missouri on there.
All right, so kind of a more hard question. I'm interested in how you kind of deal with this.
Yep.
We've been talking a lot on Beyond about AAA games on Vita.
Sure.
I would consider Freedom War as a AAA game.
Thank you.
I would as well.
And is there an expectation that this game is going to do well with the Vita audience, or is there an expectation that you guys have internally that this game is going to come out and kind of light a fire for you guys to get more of these kinds of games on Vita? Because a lot of people are afraid, and I think maybe rightfully so, that this might be the last internal AAA game on Vita.
Well, certainly when the game was being created, and Yoshizawa-san, who's our producer for the game, again, the producer on Patapon, has publicly stated many times that he really wanted this game to, really help boost, the Vita just in the eyes of gamers everywhere, right? And really to be a big smash hit. And I think it's done certainly very well. From an SCEA perspective, we're just trying to help out the game in our territory as much as we possibly can. I think the game's certainly been successful, so our job over here is just to try and make it be as successful as possible. It's not as if we have a certain goal that we absolutely need to hit, because
there's not one of those like thermometers you have at the school fundraiser where you're filling it in as you go up.
No. We're just trying to give as great of an experience to our audience over here as we can, as comparable of an experience as Japan had, for their country as well. So, in terms of like lofty expectations or anything, I mean, personally, I have my own expectations, and I hope it hits a certain amount. But I don't think there's going to be any kind of like negative impacts or anything like that if it comes out and it doesn't reach quite the the stellar, amazing audience that I dream it could hit. So, but just trying to get it out there and make sure people know that there's actually like great AAA experiences on the platform is my goal. So, happy to be a part of it.
Cool.
I think it's going to do well.
I think so too. But but I feel like a lot of Vita gamers buy games, but there's not many of them. So like, it's all relative,
Sure.
Like this isn't a game I don't think that will. It's not like Uncharted in the sense that like this might be a game that people are like, well, that's the game I'm waiting for.
Sure. I think if you own a Vita, you're already attached enough to where
this
this game sounds awesome.
Right.
You're going to pick it up.
Right.
I hope so. We thought long and hard about putting it out retail versus digital, and I was fighting really hard for retail because the AAA game, right? I want people to see this in stores.
Yeah.
And $29.99 I think is a pretty fair price for it too, given all the content that's there. I've been playing it. I played the Japanese version for like 80 hours or so.
Yeah.
And, the American version even more. So, I really hope it hits the audience and that Vita fans know about it. So.
And is that a fair estimate in time? I was going to ask you about that, about time. Like, can a person blaze through the game, or
you can go through the story, I'd say, in about 25 hours or so. But then, like I said, the end of the game does get kind of tough.
So you want to be grinding, right?
Well, yeah. One thing I wanted to mention, because I don't know if all games work like this, especially these hunting games. But if you have trouble with a game in the offline mode, you can actually go online, complete that mission with people that are higher level than you, or friends, whoever it might be.
Sure.
And then you'll get an entitlement to skip over that mission in the offline when you go back, as long as you succeed in it, right?
Sure.
So if you're having trouble at the end of the game, you can do that if you want to. There are some pretty tough boss battles that I'm pretty proud of. Yeah, a single player should take you maybe 20-25 hours, but then awesome loot system. I keep seeing new weapons that I didn't know exist that might take you like a lot longer to get. But again, play with people online, collect those items. Some of the drops are pretty rare, but I think people are kind of used to that. So
right,
cool.
Hopefully they'll enjoy it.
Sounds rad.
Yeah, we're excited. We're definitely excited. We're definitely excited to get our hands on it. It works with PS Vita TV.
Yes.
Which is cool. If you guys have that out there, we're getting a lot of messages about that. And yeah, and we hope, we keep saying, we hope that the game's great and that, people out there that people out there enjoy it, but also that, you're getting, everyone always calls the Vita an indie machine, and it's like, well, you're getting your AAA game here, so,
put up or shut up.
Yeah, exactly. Like, if it's good, it's good, and I think people are really going to attach to it. I think much like soul sacrifice, and much like some of these other Vita exclusive games, the Vita audience already knows about it and will pick it up.
Yeah.
But I wonder how.
When we talk about this game, again, Suicide Squad, Monster Hunter, all those things, it brings back the memories of Peace Walker. When I'd go like PAX and have Peace Walker meetups and everybody would play Peace Walker. You talk about the loot system. It sounds like Destiny. It sounds like it's like all these different parts of games I love ready to go everywhere.
Doesn't sound like Destiny in the sense that there's actually loot to find in the.
But it's the same hook of you want to go get the loot.
Yeah.
Find
just make it
stuff.
fun.
Okay.
It's pretty out. When you play with people that know what they're doing online, it's pretty outstanding.
Yeah.
That thorn mechanic, seeing 4 people attached to an enemy and just drag them down, or seeing somebody make one of our healing items. Remember that? It kind of looks like a healing tree.
Yeah.
And heals you. I mean, it's just every option you have in this game to take down enemies, to hack them apart and get better items, make better loot, and customize everything. It just culminates into a pretty awesome package. So I hope people check it out. I hope they get addicted to it. It's awesome when you get addicted to your own game, and that was totally my case with this. So I hope everyone gets into it.
Great. Cool. Well, Nick, thank you for coming by. Everybody, Freedom Wars is out October 28th. That's Tuesday.
Yes.
It's not Tuesday. You can just say Tuesday now.
Tuesday.
Unless you're listening to this long after the fact.
Mm-hmm.
You came
out already out.
You came out of a coma. You're catching up on all your Beyonds. Here it is.
Comes out Tuesday. And if you pick it up quickly, you get the DLC early, the pre-order DLC that we have on
What's the
PSN.
DLC?
It is a set of weapons
and
a pretty cool costume. And I think a few additional combat items too, like some special grenades and first aid packs.
That's awesome.
Get your free DLC while you can.
All right. Well, everybody, pick up Freedom Wars if it's good. Don't just take his word for it. He gets paid for it.
Take my word for it. I'm reviewing it.
Well, yeah, Colin's going to review it eventually. Then he'll tell you.
Yeah.
Until then, just stare at the wall. Beyond.
Beyond.
Users lose all sense of reality and enter another world. Remember, do not underestimate the power of PlayStation.